Hey booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. I realize I look like hell. I am filming this Thursday night, and it was the kind of night where it was like, what do we need more? Do we need clean clothes or clean dishes more? Like, what's the priority? It's been a really long week and a really strange one for reading. So I'm excited to talk to you about what I've been reading, even though it is like completely opposite ends of the spectrum. First of all, I have not forgotten my wonderful people who put a blue heart emoji wanting a video about the Two Gentlemen of Verona. I promise I'm gonna get this to you soon. So before September is over, I will have a video about this play. So I heard you, I saw your comments, I saw the emojis, and so I will do that, and I'm looking forward to that. So the last time we chatted, I was reading a memoir by Abigail Thomas called A Three-Dog Life. This paperback edition, it came out in 2007, and I had it lumped in with books about animals. Like, I think I actually even had this book on my animals shelf on Goodreads. And you can find my my Goodreads and my Instagram information down below. I have been terrible lately about Instagram. My apologies there. But anyway, back to A Three-Dog Life. So this book isn't about, in spite of that cover, right? And then it wraps around. In spite of all of that, that is not, this book is not about dogs. And I will tell you, just in case you're worried, not a single dog dies in this book. Now, I did read this. This is one of my high priority books for the year to get through because I have owned it for a long time. And I also read it for Shorty September because it met the requirements for that. So that was great. Again, like, this book isn't about dogs. So if you read it for that purpose, you will be disappointed. There are scenes and memories with dogs for sure. But this is about what happens when someone you love deeply has a traumatic brain injury. And I think traumatic maybe even underestimating like how severe and serious the situation was in this book. There are images that Abigail Thomas, shares with us that are haunting to me, and I mean, and just so unbelievable. It sounds like something from Stranger Things. So this is about kind of her, coping with her husband's traumatic brain injury, and the dogs that, the dogs are part of the journey. It's a painful read, even though no animals die. Like, it is a very sad read. I told Jason, like, if something really traumatic happens to me, I don't die, but like something really traumatic happens to me, like, this is the book you need to read. There's even a blurb on the cover from Stephen King, which I find him a strange person to have reviewed this book, but whatever. He said that this is the best memoir he's ever read. This book is a punch to the heart. I would say a punch to the heart, a punch to the gut. Yeah, it is I knew it was going to be challenging, but that's because I thought it was going to be about dogs. Like, I thought it was going to be, a sad, I've actually read, I read another dog book earlier this year. The dog's was still alive at the end of the book, which is amazing because, as we know, like most animal books, that's not how they end. But again, just really want to stress this is not a book about dogs. It's a very powerful memoir, and yeah, just heartbreaking. So after this, I came into our library. I was looking on my little cart, looking for something for Shorty September, trying not to get carried away and dive into Victober yet. And instead, I pulled out off of my cart Meg Cabot's All American Girl. So I have been trying to reread my YA and middle grade books this year that I have not read for an extremely long time, and decide whether I want to keep them. And I have sent some of them off to some of you, which is wonderful. So I read this. I'm pretty sure I read this when I worked for Barnes & Noble. This was published in 2001 or 2002. And when I was working for Barnes & Noble, I was in charge of all of the school and library purchases in the store. So that was I spent a lot of time in the kids section and the ever-growing YA section. And I read some Meg Cabot books. I read some of, not all, but I read some of the Princess Diary books, which eventually I was like, these books all start exactly the same, with the main character just freaking out. And that might be true of All American Girl, but there is something about this book that is just sweet and innocent in comparison to most YA books. I would never hesitate to recommend this, although one of the things I found interesting about All American Girl is that it's starting to get dated. She talks a lot, the main character, her name is Samantha, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Samantha. And she talks so, just absolutely loves Gwen Stefani. And I mean, of course, like, people still don't know who Gwen Stefani is, but she certainly wasn't married to a country western singer when she's referenced in this book. So yeah, there's no social media, there's no smartphones. I don't even think there's any references to the cell phone. So this book is about a Samantha Madison who's a sophomore in high school. She is trying to be different than other people, trying to, find her way in the world. She dyes all of her clothes black, much to everyone in her family's just complete horror. She doesn't care about her hair very much. Her hair is like red and it's just like this, big mop on top. Anyway, she has a talent for drawing, and so her parents enroll her in this very expensive art studio for young people. And anyway, she skips the second class because she doesn't like the teacher's criticism the first go around. And so she skips the second class. Unbeknownst to her, the president of the United States' son is in the same art class. She thought he looked familiar, but couldn't place him. And anyway, so she skips the second class, but she still has to be like in the general area for her to get a ride home. And so she ends up standing next to this guy who has a gun, and the president of the United States shows up to buy cookies. It's a YA book, okay? The moment of it all, she just jumps on this guy with a gun. She ends up breaking her arm. But obviously, saving the president's life dramatically changes the life of a sophomore in high school's life. So anyway, is it a little bit silly? Yes. Are there some interesting things in here? Yes, there are. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, and it's probably due to like medication or just being really tired, but there was actually a part of this book that brought tears to my eyes. I can't believe I'm saying that after I was just talking about this book, which for some reason I didn't cry in. So here is like the spectrum. But there's an art contest in this book, and because Samantha has saved the president's life, she becomes the teen ambassador to the UN, and she gets to judge an art show. And it's supposed to be about what people see outside their windows. And for some reason, because the issues that are being addressed outside teenagers' windows are still issues that we are dealing with in America. There was just a moment that was just, to me, really powerful and moving. I was also probably completely exhausted, and I don't know, my medication, sometimes I just start crying. So that's always exciting. Anyway, so there is from the very serious to the very silly. I haven't decided whether I'm going to keep this or not. I can't decide if I'm ever going to want to read it again, because it is getting dated. It is. But I'll think about it. I mean, I do have the room in the cupboards for YA books. And then, so I finished those two books, which was kind of amazing. And then I couldn't decide what to read next. Like, should I read more Shakespeare? Should I read something else for Shorty September? But then I realized, Jason reminded me last week, he's like, the Great British Bake-Off is starting. Now, those of you in the UK who have already seen this season's Bake-Off, no spoilers, please. But it's just a show that brings me so much joy because the people in it are so kind. I mean, the judges are tough on the contestants or whatever, but yeah, they really must do an extensive screening process on it. So I was looking at my cart, I was looking at my high priority books for the year, and I thought this would be the perfect book to read during the bake-off, and that is The Art of Baking Blind. Jason bought me this book, and actually then only recently just told me that when he bought it, he had no idea what blind baking was, like where you put the special beads, or they look like beans, inside your dough, your pastry crust, and that helps start to bake the pastry, and then when you fill it with stuff, you won't have a soggy bottom, that kind of thing. Anyway, so I don't know whether Jason thought this was about somebody who bakes and who's also blind, or what exactly. I used to do a lot of baking, but I don't anymore, but I really enjoy the Great British Bake-Off. I have started this book. I'm about 50 pages in, so it is reading very fast though, and it's about it starts off in the 60s with a young married woman who writes a book called The Art of Baking. And anyway, a year after her death, the grocery store that, sort of gave her fame has decided to have a contest to find the next, spokesperson or baking person for their store, and it's a pretty significant prize. But anyway, it's like I said, I'm still getting acquainted with the characters, so we'll see what happens, but I'm looking forward to reading this some more this weekend when I'm not doing dishes, washing clothes, vacuuming, sweeping, all that good stuff. Listening to my cat, yeah, you know, do his thing in the middle of the night. Last night, he stood on my collarbone and then proceeded to get on the pillow and start ripping out my hair. It's been a long day, you guys. So I apologize if this is a slightly delirious Friday reads, but nonetheless, I'm so glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any thoughts about any of the books I've been reading, or you can tell me what you're reading. I know a lot of people are getting ready for Victober. It's such a big event, and so I'm very excited as well. And I need to check in with somebody that I'm hoping to do a buddy read with. But anyway, so yeah, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, you can leave an emoji, or you can give this video a thumbs up. It just helps me know that you're here. So I appreciate it. Booktube, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will be back soon with some more bookish chat. Bye.